Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. I'm excited to give an update on my Project Pan series. I have one empty that I was expecting, and then I have a surprise empty. So that's what I'm really excited about sharing today. Just for a quick rundown, the way I do my project is I am constantly working on 5 items at a time. So as I finish an item, I roll a new one in. So there's always 5 items. I also don't have a specific rule for myself saying that I have to roll in the same type of makeup product when I use one up. So if I use up a concealer, I don't have to roll in another concealer. I just kind of choose whatever I feel like working on in the moment. This year, my project has focused a lot more on using up older products in my collection. So I'm going to continue with that theme with the 2 new items that I'm going to be rolling in to finish out the year. And then I'm kind of already developing ideas of how I want next year's project to go. So without further ado, let's get into some of my updates. So first update is from my Maybelline Superstay powder. This is in the shade 30 Warm Nude, and it is definitely a little too dark for me right now. So what I've been doing, I think I showed it in the last video last month, is I've been using this and kind of mixing it with my e.l.f. powder, which is a little lighter, and that seems to work okay. I'm wearing that combination today, and I think it looks fine. Of course, that means that I'm using this powder a little more slowly because I'm not using as much of it every time. But this is what we are looking like. We've got a pretty decent pan size going in the middle. I am really hoping that I can finish this by the end of the year. I'm definitely noticing kind of the age on this product, if that makes sense. I do feel like, maybe it's just the way it's packed in here or what, but kind of sometimes when I'm getting my brush in there, I feel like it just kind of breaks apart really easily and like is really dry. And so I don't know if that's because of how old it is or if that's just the consistency of the product anyway. But I'm excited that I've made this big of a pan in there, and so I'm hoping that it won't be as difficult to kind of start wearing down the sides. I'd like to not repress this if possible, but we will see how it goes. But I definitely think if I stay consistent with it, I could potentially use this up by the end of the year. That would make me pretty excited to move another powder out of my collection, especially one that kind of is not quite the right shade for me, but I'm glad that I'm kind of making it work. Next update is the lip liner that I've been working on. It was this Buxom mini lip liner. It's definitely way smaller than the last time. We are down to the very bottom of the X in Buxom on the label. So there's the little tip of the X. And honestly, I think that this might be done by the end of next month. Even though there is quite a bit of pencil left, it's getting hard for me to get it in the sharpener and twist it because this end piece is just a cap. And so even when I try to like twist it, the cap just spins and the pencil doesn't spin. So it's getting harder for me to actually grip this to sharpen it, but we'll see how it goes. I've been using this as both a lip liner and a blush. So I showed in the last video, or get ready with me, I usually will just draw a little bit on the back of my hand, pick it up with a dense brush and pat that on my cheeks, and then use it as a lip liner the rest of the time. It's a nice color. I will say this is one of those products where I'm definitely not like hate panning it at this point, but once it's done and gone, I will be glad that it's not in my collection anymore, and I don't think I would repurchase this type of product. The next item that I've been working on is also an older item in my collection, and they actually don't even exist anymore. It's my double-ended Bite Mini Lipstick. One side is Date and one side is Fig. I think I might have mixed up the caps, so I'm not 100% sure if they're the correct colors on each side, but I think this is the side Date, the more neutral pink. And as you can see, I've really started to wear this down. I have also been using this as a blush as well as a regular lipstick. I do the same technique as the pencil, draw a little bit on the back of my hand, take a brush and pat it on, and that's been really helping me to wear this down. So I'm pretty excited with how much progress I've made on this side. I haven't made quite as much on the other side. This is just a brighter pink. So I've just kind of been using this as a lipstick here and there for now, but as I continue to wear down this side, I will start using this side as a blush because I actually think that will be a really pretty pink blush as well. But I definitely think that this will be done by the end of the year as well. So now let's move on to my first empty, which was definitely the expected one, and it is my Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer. Completely used it up. I am pretty excited about this. I used up a pretty big bronzer in last year's project pan. It was the Essence, the Sun Club matte bronzer, the huge one. And so I'm excited that I used up another bronzer this year. I feel like bronzers is a category that I really enjoy and I like having a lot of, but it's a good reminder of how long it really takes to use up a product like this. And this was not even really a full size. This was a mini. It says this was 4 grams or 0.14 ounces. So definitely on the smaller side, but I totally used this up. Very excited about that. So what I decided to replace it with is not another bronzer. I decided to try and spend the rest of 2023 finishing up another foundation. I had decided last month to not roll in another foundation when I finished the Bite one because I was just kind of enjoying rotating through the foundations that I had in my collection. And I'm really glad I gave myself the month to do that because it made me realize that I do really like the Urban Decay Hydromaniac, but there is so little of this left, and I think this is the second oldest foundation in my collection, so I would like to finish this up. It's pretty light. I feel like it's going to be hard to see on camera, but there's already a few little like air bubble spots showing up, so there's really not that much left in here. It feels pretty light. It is weighing in at 20 grams, so that will be our starting weight that we measure by going forward. But I definitely think with consistent, almost everyday use, I can finish this up by the end of the year. So this is the first new product I'm going to be rolling in. The next product was kind of a surprise finish for me. I really thought this was going to take so much longer, and it's my Hourglass palette. I completely used up all of it. I was working on the middle shade, which was the highlight shade, and as you can see from the photos from last month, I felt like there was still quite a bit left, but I guess at the end of the day, it was so flattened out that it was such a thin layer that was left, even though it looked like a large surface area, that it just kind of, there was one day where I just used it like I regularly was using it, and then I was like, oh, it's it's almost gone. And then the next day it was gone. So I am so excited. I have never completely used up a face palette before. So this is a huge sense of accomplishment for me, and I'm really excited and proud of myself. So what I chose to replace it with is another face palette. It is my Smashbox Contour palette. Again, sticking with that theme of older items in my collection, this is pretty old and I really don't pull for it that much. That's something that I enjoy about project panning is I'm learning what types of items I tend to reach for and which ones I don't. And honestly, certain face palettes are just things that I don't pull for. I always enjoyed my Hourglass palette, and I do have another Hourglass palette that I do reach for consistently, but I think it's because it has a lot of variety and I really like the quality of all the products in the palette. This one I don't dislike, but I just felt like I kind of bought it on a whim many years ago and then didn't really get a lot of use out of it at the time. So going forward, unlike what I did with the Hourglass one where I kind of focus on one powder at a time, I'm kind of just going to be using it as a whole. What I've been doing, especially since I used up the bronzer, I've kind of just been mixing the contour and the bronzer shade most days and just using that as my bronzer. That's what I'm wearing today. And then this highlight shade, I don't know if I will actually completely use up this highlight shade. I'm still kind of getting a feel for if it's a product that I think is going to be fully usable for me. It's not really kind of a shade or a type that I go for. There's really not a lot of shimmer to make it a highlight. It's more like a matte highlight. And so I'm kind of struggling with using that consistently because I feel like it can wash me out pretty easily. But I am just going to focus on all of it, mostly the bronzers. If I could get both of those used up, I think I would call it good and feel good moving this out of my collection. And then I'm just going to try and see how much progress I can make on this along the way, and even if I don't use it up, that's okay. It will all be fine. So those are the 5 items that I am now going to be working on. I'm excited to add 2 more items to my empties for the year and move them out of this project. I feel like I've made such good progress on this project throughout 2023. So I'm really proud that I have 2 more kind of big ticket items to move out as part of this project. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below if your project planning this year and how it's going. I can't believe we only have 3 months left of the year to work on our products for this year. Please subscribe, and I will see you in next week's video, which is going to be a quarterly empties video. So it will be 3 months worth of empties, makeup, beauty, skincare, all of that. So stay tuned for that, and I will see you in next week's video. Bye.